here before us the Bluetooth SIG Board of Directors. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Vince Holton, and since 1998 I've been publishing an e-magazine called Incisor, which covers the Bluetooth and short-range radio market. Let's see if we can kick this off then. Here's one off the list that's been submitted. There's been a lot of buzz on the social media sites and the internet generally complaining that a lack of profiles for Bluetooth low-energy technology is allowing competing technologies, proprietary and Gazelle, Zigbee, to establish a firm foothold in the sports and fitness market. Should there be a shortcut to market for those manufacturers who are anxious to sell something?
So I'm Toby Nixon from Microsoft, and I am the newest member of the board. In this particular area, there's two different answers we could give. First, there is the capability today, if someone thinks they have a great idea, to just move ahead into the marketplace with their own profile. It is possible for individual vendors to do that. But the fact is that we think that it's best to go through the SIG process very deliberately, make sure that we're coming up with the right answer that will satisfy the market for many years to come.
So, you know, the obvious question, how far away are we from having these profiles?
The first profile that encompasses Bluetooth 4.0 and low energy was released, when did we do the GATT? That was last July. You can qualify to that, qualify a single mode device that has that in it. The second one you're going to see very shortly, which we pushed hard in the medical working group, but we should see that end of the month or in May of this year. In addition, right behind that, there's the heart rate monitor profile, and we're hoping to drive that to completion for, I would like to see earlier, but a May adoption would be great.
There's a desire to know what the SIG's doing to accelerate the adoption of low-energy technology amongst the mobile operating system vendors.
Yeah, I think Joel gave an excellent presentation of the focus they have and what they're doing to make Bluetooth 4.0 the premier platform that people want to use in the smartphones, which is, you know, where the mobile OS guys are really playing right now. He has Google involved, okay? He has Apple involved, okay? He has Microsoft wants to be involved, okay?
Well, I guess it's fair to assume that people would accept that you were talking to these companies. I suppose they're trying to find out whether it's actually working and whether Bluetooth Low Energy will be popping up in these operating systems.
Well, I guess as kind of who everybody's looking at, I can assure you that Microsoft considers Bluetooth 4.0 to be a huge opportunity, and that the opportunity to build an ecosystem with downloadable applications and expandable in the field devices is just huge, and we plan to be a part of it.
My question last year was going to be, the Bluetooth high-speed solution feels somewhat unresolved. So let's revisit that question 12 months on and ask where the board feels the Bluetooth high-speed solution is today. Is it the elephant in the room, and does anyone feel motivated to do anything about it?
So Stefan Svedberg from Ericsson. I think we are looking to the bets very much to come up with the use cases. Because as we now are transforming to a more market-driven organization again, I think we would like to see the compelling use cases for high speed. For sure, high speed as such is compelling, and we should strive for that in general. But still, I think we need the use cases.
When you say Bluetooth high-speed technology, what I say is Bluetooth 4.0. It's there. The high-speed solution we have is just available to be used. And it is viable. We'll increase our throughput on a minimum up to about, I think it's 40 or 50 megabits per second, and a maximum up to 600 megabits per second, which is there to be used. All right? And it's much better than any of the other competing technologies we ever looked at in that range.
Okay, the simple truth is, though, John, I don't know, I mean, as you can imagine, I know a lot of people who use a lot of Bluetooth devices. I don't know anybody anywhere using Bluetooth 4.0 high speed.
There is, like you say, there's not a lot of use case. There's not a lot of those devices out there, and that's because there are no there are no, the use case is still iffy. If there was a compelling use case, it would have happened. I think, at least in my mind, I think that's one of the motivations that have shown that we actually need to think about what is the use case, what is it behind, before we start throwing technology at the problem.
It sounds to me as if we're saying, though, that the high-speed solution as presented by the Bluetooth Special Interest Group today is not going to change. That's it. No further development.
There is a high-speed solution based on 802.11 that currently is based on 802.11g. We're upgrading it to 802.11n. And in the future, as there's more requirements, if we have use cases that need higher rates, we'll continue to look at what 802.11 is doing and bring in their improvements.
So there is already a roadmap to continue to upgrade that solution.
It's not on our roadmap right now until we get the compelling use cases from the bets.
My name is Pierre Chen, Logitech Technology Office. Well, first, I would like to say that we are very grateful to have this Bluetooth ecosystem teams. Well, the question I have is how this new layer of work which has been added in the Bluetooth SIG structure will not slow down the execution. I guess one of the most important pain points we have with the SIG is the execution speed.
I share your concern, but my hope is that by sitting down and thinking about it well and planning it well in advance, that in the long run, it will save time.
Do you feel as if that, although it may take them a while to get up and running, these changes that the SIG has made are a positive step, and do you think it could perhaps help achieve some of the goals that you're looking for there?
I have always to justify to my clients the work in the Bluetooth SIG. For example, we had a discussion about a new profile, and they told me that takes too long. We don't want to do it with Bluetooth SIG. It's let's make an app and use Wi-Fi directly or something like that. So I'm really concerned that if we add additional development steps, maybe like an extensive marketing requirements stage or whatever, then the competition will be faster than we.
We just actually had a meeting here before it started with the BARB, and we were looking at other ways to improve and speed up the process too. So there are, in addition to all the layering and stuff like that, there are specific things that we are doing in the process to speed things up.
So Chris, you're basically saying that the message is getting through.
It is.
How do we get new blood in leadership positions in the Bluetooth SIG? Please, Chris.
I mean, there's two specific things that we've done to sort of address that in the last year or two, or almost 2 years now. The first thing we did is we established the BERB, and there we are looking for leadership people from our marketing. It may take a while before they join up, but the idea with that was to get leadership people from the industry in and advise the Bluetooth SIG on where we should be going. And we have, as a board, given up some of the road mapping stuff that we traditionally have done to this BERB. So these are important positions that we've created. We're increasing the board by 4 new people as well. So I mean, there's really at the highest level of the Bluetooth SIG, we've done something specific to increase those leadership positions.
How will the board of directors work with the various committees? Obviously, we have a bunch of new committees and teams and so on now. How will you work with those committees to explain to the market, not just SIG members, the considerable benefits of Bluetooth high-speed technology? We're back to that old chestnut again.
You know, a part of the answer to that is that we are changing the structure. We've asked Mike to really bring in someone with strong marketing expertise. We have Suk. You saw him this morning. And one of our goals for him is to go out and evangelize what we can do, not what is possible if everything else happens magically. What we can do.
The next question, also coming in from a member, alludes to the fact that perhaps another organization like the Bluetooth SIG is maybe doing a better job. The question is, what are you doing to get innovation in the SIG to improve? When contrasting the SIG with the Wi-Fi Alliance, it seems that the Wi-Fi Alliance has the upper hand and is carving out new markets much faster than the Bluetooth SIG does. They have Wi-Fi Direct, low-power Wi-Fi, and soon also TV whitespace Wi-Fi. What does the SIG have in the roadmap to compete with that?
But you see, those aren't markets. Those are just technologies, right? What are they going to sell those into? What are end users going to actually do with those things?
I would imagine that the questioner was thinking not so much about the individual technologies or solutions themselves. He was suggesting that there are other organizations out there that are faster moving, more dynamic, and more aggressive.
And I'd have to say that there are. But they don't have the staying power of Bluetooth, because we've been careful to come up with profiles and solutions that everybody can implement and they can build on, instead of, oh, these two companies want to do it, let's define a spec for it, and if it works for them, that's good enough. But if it doesn't build a market, let's go off and do something else.
What's the single most important goal that each of you thinks the Bluetooth SIG needs to hit during 2011?
The most important thing, which is, it's going to be very obvious to everybody, but is to get the first LE profiles out there. And I think I hope that by the end of this year, there's at least a half a dozen completed profiles.
I think we need to make a promotion to like ecosystems to usage first, of course. Next year, this year, 2011, we need to make use case and user scenario to establish this good year. I think so.
Okay, thank you. And nobody's allowed to ask Ian about Nokia and changes to operating systems and such like that. What would you like to see in the Bluetooth world?
I think this year we need to kind of finish transforming ourselves into this kind of market-driven structure, and also improving our spec development processes to shorten cycle times.
I guess it's really summed up in the three terms that were talked about this morning. It's simple, secure, and everywhere. Simple, that goes for the SIG as well, making it more simple to create better profiles and do it more efficiently.
This morning we heard a statement that Bluetooth is a no-cost option in all BMWs, so it's free. Okay, it's a commodity. And I kind of thought, is it a commodity or is it an essential requirement that it be there? And I think that's our important thrust, is to dispel the fact that Bluetooth is just a commodity, you don't need to do anything, but to realize that there is tremendous value if you become part of the Bluetooth ecosystem.
Our greatest asset is really the ecosystem, and I think that inevitably we will lose some of the use cases in the ecosystem we have, because there's new technology, there's new ways of using technology. So the most important thing, I believe, is to keep building on the ecosystem, to extend it, to prove that we can break new ground, to get into new use cases, to new devices, to new areas. And I think LE is the biggest asset we have in that terms to break that new ground and break into new devices and new markets.
So I'm going to echo what Chris said. I think the most important thing we have to do is ship some complete profiles for LE. And that's going to enable this vibrant ecosystem of downloadable applications that we really want to see. The other thing that's top on the list for Microsoft is getting the HID profile done for LE, and I'll just lay that one out there because that's the go-to-market profile we have to have for PCs.
Thanks very much. Okay, well, I'll wrap it up there because we've come to the end of the session. But remember, these guys have all got email addresses, and you don't have to wait 12 months between asking them questions. I'm sure they'd all be happy to answer your questions throughout the year. And thank you all very much.